Hello, it's Mio, and welcome to this Draw With Me video where I'll be drawing with markers and some coloring pencils. So what really inspired me to get my sketchbook out again was that I saw this TikTok video of a person that drew a portrait with first markers that was like in this ombre effect, and then they used coloring pencils to get in all the details. And I actually think it's really common to use coloring pencils with markers, but I just never really thought of that because I am a coloring pencil hater. I don't like coloring pencils, and when I work with markers, I purely work with markers and fine liners and nothing else. But that video really inspired me because coloring pencils can do a lot of things that markers can't, and you can get a really nice effect with it and a lot of details that you otherwise wouldn't get. So that's why I really wanted to try it out and see whether I liked it or not. It's also been really long since I drew with markers, or traditionally in general, because it's so just comfortable and easy to just draw digitally because you have everything there and you don't have to take all your stuff out and it records for you automatically, and there's just so many good things about digital art. But I'm really missing working traditionally and looking at my stuff physically on a paper and having it all collected in a nice little sketchbook. So I'm gonna try to get back into sketchbooking, but I always say that. So we will see whether or not I will keep my word and try to get better at this. So to start this little experiment, I started by finding a picture of a face that I really liked, or an expression, and then I just sketched it out in my little sketchbook to start with. And here I just wanted to make kind of expressive faces, or sorta expressive. I didn't want them to be neutral because that's what I automatically go to. So that's why I decided to find a picture first instead of just drawing it from my own head. And I started with this little cute girl, which I think is adorable. And then I wanted to make one more so that I give this experiment like a real try and actually try 2 times and not just once and then I fail and hate it and never do it again. So 2 faces. And the second face I also found a reference photo of, and I wanted it to be kind of like a stretch, like somebody is stretching the face, or this person is stretching their own face. And I have drawn this concept a lot actually, and it's always combined with some jacked up teeth, missing teeth, or fangs. So for this one I went with fangs, and then I decided that I should not go with fangs because I always go with fangs, but later on I go back to the fangs. So there's a lot of back and forth here. Here are the hands, which are all right. I gave the character a cute little nose, just my basic noses that I give every single character of mine because I am not creative in the nose department at all. That's also something I'm trying to get better at. Then he got some eyes that I thought maybe in the beginning should look in another direction, but in the end I decided that it would be cooler if both the characters are looking directly at you. While drawing the second character, I decided that the drawings should have a little loose theme, and I decided on the theme being saint and devil, or something like that, like something that is good and something that is a bit more evil. So the girl is supposed to represent like the sweet side or the good side, while the character below is supposed to be like the bad side in a way. So the character that is on the bottom gets some pointy ears, like little devil ears, and a fang, while the character on top gets a halo to represent the good side. Then here I'm just sketching in the hair, and I couldn't think of like a devilish hair, so he just gets a messy haircut with some longer like sideburns, because I thought that would look good and devilish. And then here I picked out the color palettes. So cool tones for the good character, warm tones for the bad character. And then I also tested out the colors because it's been a really long time since I worked with markers, and I haven't really worked much with ombre effects before. So I tried some different colors just to see what works and what doesn't. And I figured out that a lot of the colors that I picked, like the 2 red colors, they're almost the same, and these 2 yellow tones right here are pretty much the same too. So I didn't need all these colors and could cut down on them. And then here I'm testing out the color scheme for the girl, and I wanted both of the color palettes to have black in it, and then the other one is more purple, which I'm testing out here, which I quite liked. But I also wanted to try a more pure blue one, or more of a blue one. It's not pure blue, it's a little bit purpley as well, but it's a lot cooler. I also had to test out whether or not I could draw with markers over pencil and it's still being visible. And then I also tried the same thing but with a black coloring pencil. I did this so that I would know whether or not I could see anything later on, and I came to the conclusion that a black coloring pencil is better. So I used that here and there on the drawings, not all that much because I am planning to going over it again with more coloring pencils later for more details. So very roughly here and there in the places that I thought were the most important, so around the eyes, the nose, some around the teeth, and some other sharp angles on the fingers and such. Then it's time for the colors and the ombre effect, which I was really excited for and also scared of because I was really enjoying the drawings that I did. I thought they looked really good and I didn't want to ruin them. But I decided on the purpley color palette for the girl. So I started with the darkest one and I took that about halfway through the face before I changed the color because I only have about 2-3 colors with the black. And I also decided to cut down on the black and use that as like an accent color and not a color directly on the face because I was scared of losing all the details in the hair and such. So here I'm going in with a lighter tone, which I already could tell here that I wasn't really liking the effect. And you can see that the paper isn't handling markers all that well, and that's because the sketchbook that I use is really cheap and I bought it for like $2. So it's not made for markers at all. So I'm struggling here. The colors are coming out uneven and I'm hating the combination of colors. And yeah, I was hoping that when it would dry it would look a little bit better, which it kind of did, but this still doesn't look all that good and I get really unmotivated when things don't go my way in the beginning. So this was just not, I was not feeling it at this point. Here I go in with some coloring pencils to try to salvage this drawing. So I tried to give her blue highlights because that was kind of my idea from the very beginning. I wanted to give her very like supernatural highlights, but I didn't like that. So I went with white instead. And I was struggling. I was still struggling a lot. I decided that maybe going in with the black would help, to go in with the hair color and such. And that would maybe give me some motivation. And I think it looks a lot better, especially when she got eyebrows. She got a little bit more of a human look because she was kind of looking like an alien before. But I was still not there. After I realized that color pencils weren't gonna fix this, I decided to just cover the whole face with the darker purple color in hopes that that would salvage this drawing because it started off so good and I didn't want it to end like this. At this point things were still looking bad and the colors just looked really patchy and I was getting scared that this is how it would look forever. And out of just pure frustration I decided to just go with the other blue color, or the more bluish purple color, and use that as my new shading color in hopes that it would look a little bit better, which I actually think it did, and I think it brought a lot more life into the drawing. And yeah, I probably should have tried this with coloring pencils actually. I think that would have helped a little bit better. I feel like coloring pencils would have given it a more detailed look, or I could have gotten a lot more details with the shading that way. But since I'm not used to that, my head went automatically to fix it with markers. And here I try to add the highlights back in. So I tried the blue color again because I thought maybe it would work now, and I think it did. I think the blue color adds a little something to the drawing, adds a little bit of extra color in there. And yeah, so here I'm just starting with the coloring pencils pretty much, trying out different stuff. I actually have no idea what I am doing, I'm just testing it out. I wanted her to look more shocked or scared, so I gave her some bangs under her eyes, and then I worked with the eyebrows and the shading in general around her face with this black color before going into more highlights. I was pleasantly surprised by how well the coloring pencils worked on top of the markers, because I didn't think they would be this opaque on darker colors, but they really shine through. For the most part, it was hard to get colors here and there, but around the eyes, for example, it really popped, and I was loving that. I didn't need to use gel pens, which is what I would usually go for when drawing with markers. So I thought that was really nice, and I actually would like to try this again sometime. Here I'm going in with a halo, and it didn't turn out that good. It was a little bit messy, but this whole drawing process is pretty messy because I'm just kind of going with the flow and not trying to make something perfect. I am just trying to experiment and see whether I like a new technique or not. To get more of that yellow color that we used on the halo, I decided to put that color into the eyes. I also think that would make her shocked expression look a little bit more intense because there's a lighter color in the eye that is lighter than her skin tone. And I really like that. I thought it looked good. Here the little coloring pencils were not on my side for the white highlight, so I fixed that later, you'll see. And then here it's time for the other drawing, which was more of a warmer toned ombre, starting with this very dark red. And even though the ombre effect didn't really work on the girl, I decided that I wanted to try it again here and just hope for the best and hope it turned out better than with the girl. Even though the paper is not really working for me right now, and I just really hated the ombre effect on the girl, but here I'm really hoping that it's gonna work. So I go with the red, and so far so good. I am liking it. I decided to take the red relatively far down before turning to or switching to the pink color, which is this one right here. And the pink color actually looked incredibly similar to the red color, which I wasn't expecting because I didn't feel like that was the case when working with the little swatch that I made. And I wanted the pink color to be around the cheeks mostly and around the nose because it's still like a blush color, I thought, before turning into the orange. And this is where things go a little bit south because the yellow wasn't really blending very well with the pink, first of all, but also when I put it over the mouth, I was already like, this is not really looking good. And then I put it on the bottom, and I had forgotten one of the colors. I had forgotten the lightest yellow color, so the last ombre color isn't even there. And then I wanted to put the red on the fingertips and then do the same like ombre effect on the hands, which started off all right, but then again when I went into the other colors such as the yellow, and then here I also decided to go with the lightest yellow because that was the original plan, it just looked like he was wearing gloves and I didn't like it at all. So I tried to fix it with adding more pink colors over the yellow parts of the face, which I think helped a little bit, but the colors just don't really blend all that well, and I wasn't feeling it, but I was hoping to fix it with markers. So I was just trying to trust the process, go with the flow, you know. Here it's time for the coloring pencils, the moment of truth. The lighter color was not working, the white color was not working all that well on the eyes, but it worked pretty nicely on the nose, and I was really loving that highlight effect, and I had really fun with that. That was probably the most fun part of the process, was putting the white coloring pencils, and then I added some red, and I also liked that a lot. The red was really crisp, and this purple color as well. I feel like the colors were just a lot better or more crisp on this color scheme than it was on the girl. So I was loving the coloring pencil process here, and I actually kind of fell in love with coloring pencils, which I thought I never would because I hated them with a burning passion. And then here I'm doing the hair, and I do that really roughly and messily, because I thought that effect would look really good, which it did. I love this effect. I love that the hair is just not looking like hair. And then leave a little bit of room as well here and there for some highlights or a little like hair shine. So I avoid drawing in the middle right there. So here it's just a lot of back and forth. Like here I go back in with the white coloring pencil to add even more highlights here and there, and then I go back to the purple color and back to the black, and just, yeah, I just roll them around till I feel happy with things, add things that I feel work here and there, and yeah, just continuously work with this till I'm happy. To add more evil or more devil to the devil, he got little floating horns. That was just kind of a last minute decision. Some extra highlight was also in order for the hair. And then the last part was the eyes. And I decided that I didn't really want his eyes to pop as much as I wanted it on the girl. So I just went with a very simple purple on top and yellow on the bottom, kind of representing his color scheme all in all, but with a little bit of purple. Then for the last touches, the final touches, I whipped up my old gel pen that is pretty much dried up. There's almost nothing there, and I have to try really hard just to get a little bit out of there. And I used that mostly on the eyes, but also some final highlights with it here and there. And this is where I fixed the little white dots in the middle of her eyes to make them pop even more. And then I also fix some highlights on the nose and such, and just some small details. And the final small touch was that I wanted some texture on the halo. And here I'm just signing my little name, and that is it for this drawings. I actually really enjoyed this process, and I want to try to work more with coloring pencils and markers. Actually, this was a good time. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.